I believe I mentioned in my last month's video that I was going to be attending the Essex Needle Retreat, and it was incredible. If anybody who's watching attended the retreat, thank you for helping make it fantastic. Everyone was so friendly, so welcoming. There were no clicks, everyone mingled really well. You know, like you sat at the table and stitched with some people, but then you get up for dinner and you go, oh, I haven't chatted to you. I'm going to get to know to see blah, 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 going to get to know you better. It was just a really, really positive experience. I arrived on the Thursday, which was St. Patrick's Day. The retreat was officially from Friday to Sunday, but I arrived Thursday evening just to, because I was having to fly in, I wanted as much time as possible. And I'm really glad I did do that. Any retreats I attend in future, I'll definitely show up like the night before it officially starts to get maximum stitching time. That is the goal. I mean, realistically, it's like maximum chatting time and maximum like wandering around being nosy about other people's whips time. But yeah, semantics. No, I had a really lovely time. I should get a headache on the Saturday. I ended up having about a 2-hour nap, but that was kind of the low point. There was nothing like anybody could have done about that. So, and even when I didn't feel well, everybody was so sweet and really like looked after me, and it was just it's nice because it's always disappointing when you like feel poorly on holidays and you feel like you're wasting your time and everything. But everybody was like, no, it's okay. Like go lie down and you'll feel better later, and you know, kind of you can salvage the day then if you get a little bit of rest now. And they were right. So I'm going to start off by showing you my whips because I have a crap ton of haul to show you. Very exciting. It's not even all for me, the haul, which makes me feel a little bit less guilty because it wasn't all for me. That's what I told myself all weekend to make myself feel better. But first of all, Dark Queen of the Sea. I've been really enjoying working on this. The colours in the fish are just so pleasant. And I'd laugh, I was on a video call with a friend and I mentioned like, oh, this is Dark Queen of the Sea. And my friend was like, that's a bit dramatic. Those fish look lovely. And then I showed her the full picture with the tentacles and she was like, oh, okay. The like mermaid sea monster, she's the Dark Queen. The little fish, they're not the Dark Queen. But yeah, I'm really liking working on this. I brought it to the retreat with me and didn't actually stitch on it. I stitched pretty much exclusively on Andromeda, who I'm going to show you now. But I don't know, I'd like to finish the fish. The fish were like part 1 of the cell, so I feel that if I get a chunk done, even though you know the cell is officially finished and everything, I don't know, it feels in my head that I will have like hit a milestone with that project, which is grand. It's not a race. I'm in no rush to finish Andromeda. And you can't see her head at the moment because it's in the Q-snap, but I haven't stitched on the top of her. Anyway, I worked on the rock at the weekend. Anyone who's been listening to me, I've been kind of afraid of the rock because it's big and there's a lot of 310 and it's, I don't know, it just didn't seem like it would be nice to stitch. It's coming along fine. There's some neat colours in it. You can make it that kind of like tealy greeny colour. It's really cool. I have realised over the course of the weekend that she looks a little bit weird. You can't see her head at the moment, but she looks a little bit weird because I have stitched her face, but no hair. So she's got a weird like half head thing going on. It's a little weird looking. So I might not stitch all of her hair, but I might even just round out her head a little bit. I felt like I was showing her to people and I'm like, oh, she looks a bit weird with only half a head. And I'm only realising it now that other people are looking at it. I have also learned a new technique called tramming. At first, when I heard about tramming, I was like, oh, do you mean railroading? Which is where you put the needle through the 2 strands to make them lie flat and get nice coverage. But no, tramming is different to railroading. Apparently we have some like public transit fans in the embroidery fandom. Fandom's not the right word, you know what I mean? So if the cross stitch is like this, tramming is running either a vertical or a horizontal line along behind that, so it kind of covers the bit that the diagonals don't do. and I don't think I'll need it for any other colour except the 310. And apparently coverage on the 310 isn't as great because either the black dye does something to thin the thread, or they will use rejects from other colours and then dye that black over it, and the process of being dyed twice weakens and thins the thread, which is why the coverage for 310 is just never as good as any other colour, literally any other colour. I've trammed, I think, the top triangle and this. I haven't done the side one, no, it's just the top one. The coverage still isn't perfect, but that's because, you know, you work with your stitching like here. And I figure that once she's framed, nobody's going to be, you know, pressing their nose up against the glass or like shining a torch on her. But yeah, I saw again Teresa Little Stitcher's finished Andromeda at the retreat, and oh, she's beautiful. Beads like flowing in her hair, the metallic like chains, and the sea foam is all beaded, and oh, it's beautiful. Seeing that honestly really made me go, oh, I want to finish the rock so I can get onto the water and I can be. I'm not going to bead until last, but you know, I'll be closer to the beads. So that's the magic of like seeing something finished, because then you then go, oh, is that what I get to do? It's very exciting. Okay, on to haul. I'm going to start off with the haul that wasn't for me. I've mentioned before that my partner cross stitches, so I got him some pieces. His request was for some Ada. So I got him this sparkly fabric over there. So I got him this lovely piece of kind of cream off-white, colour is barely bronzed, 14 count Ada, as well as some pale blue glacier or glacier, however you pronounce it. I think glacier is more common here. Glacier might be American. I don't know. But anyway, both of these are 14 count Ada, and he was really happy with them. On the D-stash table, massive D-stash table, it was great. I saw this, and we live near the coast, and my partner grew up near the coast, so he's even, you know, more memories associated with the seaside than I do. Just seeing that, like we live quite near a little coastal fishing town, so seeing that made me think of like standing on the pier, eating fish and chips, watching boats together, and like the colour choice and everything in this just made me feel happy. And I was like, well, I think he'll like it. And you can see there's the floss, and he'll probably switch out the Ada. He might have, like, he's probably picked up the anti-kit Ada prejudice from me, but it's really stiff, starchy compared to the sparkly stuff. Like it's not even weave soft, but it's so much nicer than the scratchy stuff. I like it. Anyway, also on the D-stash table I saw this, which is a companion piece. They're both from the Sunsets. They're Wentwater Designs. And they both have that, I'm peeking through, they both have that like grey, black and white, and then the pop of colour, this rectangle of colour in the middle. And they're both just really calming pieces. So he was delighted with those. And then la pièce de résistance of his gifts. Ta-da! I remember seeing this pattern when it released and pointing it out to him going, oh, I love this, I want to stitch it. And he was also like, ah, I want to stitch it. So, you know, he can stitch it, it's okay. I also picked him up this Sunlit Forest Ada. It's 18 count piece, and I think it would go perfect as the background. And I noticed while I was prepping everything for this video, there are 9 colours in the floss list, which is, you know, fair enough. It calls for 5 skeins of D10, or 310. 5? How big is this piece? 8.75 inches by 12.25 inches on 32 count. Can't be 5 skeins. I mean, I'll be interested to see when he does get around to stitching it, if it requires 5 skeins of 310. I will be shocked if it does. Okay, So that was the haul for my partner. I picked up a couple of patterns for myself from the D-stash table, a couple of small things. I'm just really going to show one. Sorry, it's down in a bag here by my side. So I have to find it. Aha! This one! It is Frog Pile by Designworks. I saw this stitched up last October and I was just so charmed by it. When I saw the pattern, like I'd been keeping an eye out for it, but it's a kit, so it's always been quite expensive. But the pattern was going for buttons because it's the leftover pattern in a kit. It also came with some leftover floss, which is very nice. And I picked up a piece of green fabric that I might use as the background for it. I'm in no rush to start it, but like, it's just nice to have it, especially when it was so cheap. My other significant acquisition from the stash table, excuse me a moment. It's a lap stand. You like sit on it and it holds a key snap or a hoop. And I was delighted because I found as I was stitching that I was sitting like, and I was getting awful neck and shoulder pains. I kept like stopping to stretch, and it still, you know, it helped, but this just like it's raised up a little bit higher. I like stitching two-handed, so having something to actually hold the Q snap rather than trying to like balance it against the chair or the table really helped. I just love everything about this. Thank you to the lady who left it for the D-stash. I think she said she stitches in hand now, which is why this and a bunch of Q snaps were up for D-stashing. I'm delighted, and I'm honestly really proud of myself that I managed to fit it in my suitcase home. I was flying with Ryanair, and they are budget airline. They're not very nice to fly with. They're fine, but like they charge. You can take on a handbag, but if you want to bring like a suitcase, as in like a small cabin bag suitcase, they charge you extra, and it's all about like how much money can we wring out of you. Whatever, I flew with them. Next up is my own haul. I have a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot. I'm going to start off with all of this fabric is from Sparkly's fabric. I'm going to start off with the pieces that were from the offcuts bin. And I realised last night that for offcuts, some of these pieces are giant. This is a lovely Ada. It's like a pale, seafoamy, greeny, bluey colour. There's some sparkle to it. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. I think it might be. This is a small piece. I picked it up with the intent of doing black work on it. I think it'd be lovely. Similarly, I acquired this lovely like sky blue piece. It made me think of like clouds in the sky. It's quite a large piece, but I think it's 16 count Ada. I'm just glancing at it, I haven't counted it. And this is quite a large piece. I'm not going to unfold it all. But I think I might try to do some sort of like sunny golden yellow thread in it to evoke like sun in the sky. It'll be pretty. This is 32 count linen. Just a small little piece. It's really like pale peach yellow, kind of in the bottom corner, peachy over here. Very pretty. No idea what to do with it. It's just a small piece, so it was cheap, and I was like, mine now. And then the last from the offcuts bin is this giant piece. It folds out to double this again, and it's a lovely like pink, a little bit of lilac running through. It's lovely. It is some kind of even weave linen. No, there's slubs in it. It's linen. Some kind of linen. I will probably stitch a Mira or a Pretty Lady on this, just because it's the right kind of colour. It's that lovely, like, pretty enough to be a nice background, but not overly patterned or overly detailed enough to actually detract attention from the stitching. So I was very happy with that. It's a tiny piece. How is that an offcut? I'm not complaining. Far from it. Delighted. On to some more fabric. Picked up a piece of Fides. This is what I'm going to be stitching Persephone on. Lovely, like, rich green colour. Dr. Smith's Tonic. I have something in mind for this, something special, which I will show you later in the video. It's a neutral, it's a pale neutral, it's got a sparkle to it. Setting it aside for now. Rainforest, I might do the frogs in this, or I might do something else in it. Summer skies, opalescent even weave, that pale blue again. Don't have a plan for it, just nice to have. I set myself a budget, so I was like, I don't mind if I'm not planning anything immediately for these pieces. Nice to have them. And lastly, this fabric is called Waggle Dance, and I have to admit, I think I bought it because of the name. It's like pinks and blues and yellows, and it's such a happy colour. It's £28. I would be happy to stitch anything in that, literally anything. Just, it's such a nice, happy, pleasant colour, and the name makes me smile. Can't go wrong if it makes you smile. I'm looking at the rest of my haul going, oh my god, what do I show them next? I'm going to start with something small. I got 2 Mill Hill kits. One is a little hedgehog because I like hedgehogs and have a collection of like small hedgehog figures and stuffed toys. They're all very small, they're all like that big. So it can join the club when I'm done with it. And then come stitch for a spell. Thought that was neat. So I got 2 little Mill Hill kits. I've been wanting a project bag, and when I saw, is her name just Ladybird? Yeah, handmade by Ladybird with love. This project bag, it is so lovely. Colour just called to me. It's really like plush and like not squidgy, but it feels really nice to touch. And then I saw the matching floss storage with it, and that was me sold. That was me convinced. So I am very late to the party when it comes to using like floss straps or anything like that, but it came with some plastic cards for holding your floss. Also came with a little matching purse and an ort catcher. Again, I'd never used an ort catcher before until this weekend, and I'm in love because at the moment my solution for like loose floss ends was for them to be scattered to the wind on my desk, on the coffee table. I'd find them like on the stairs. It's great to have something to contain them all. But as I mentioned, I am going to be trying this for Persephone. I got it the smallest of starts done at the weekend, and only because the lovely ladies at my table helped me put the threads on here, and they all just tuck neatly into little pouches. They're all braided at the moment. This blew my mind. You can still pull out one strand when they're braided, and they like get less tangled then because they're they're woven in and they're tidied up just that little bit. Look at those colours. Really, really beautiful, and it just feels nice to have a way to store them, and like even starting a mirror, they're big projects. So having all the beads are in here as well, and having something for them, it's just really nice. And I know she's going to live there until she's done, and it's great. Only problem is I now want more project bags. But no, I had a budget for the weekend and it did not afford me to buy multiple project bags. I wanted to. I considered it, but no. And you can see there, that's the Flides. Lovely. And the beads, there are a lot of beads for Persephone. I mean, this feels like a lot of beads because my experience with beading is Mill Hill kits, and I love beading on the Mill Hill kits, but there's not a ton of beads in them. So I see like multiple packets of beads and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of beads. And there is also, I'm going to have to duck down because it's on the floor. Lovely lady called Angela made everybody ort catchers. And they say the little 2022 charm, ENR for Essex Needle Retreat. And I picked little duck fabric because I really like ducks. And this is just such a generous, like kind, lovely thing for her to do. We all have a little commemoration of the retreat, and thank you if you're watching, Angela. I love it. It's very precious. like I've been stitching and like putting little bits of floss into it, and every so often I pick it up and I like touch the little beads, and I'm like, oh, what a nice weekend that was. Like what happy memories. I'm delighted. Woo! Okay, I'm getting near the end of my haul. One other thing that I did buy was Lakapati. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She is the, I don't know what country she's goddess of. Deity of fertility. She gave agriculture to mankind, and I like yellow. And the colors just like, she's gold and she glows. She's got this lovely like details. I don't know if it's a headdress or if it's meant to be like some sort of like halo or kind of goddess glow about her or something. But I think she's amazing. I'm going to stitch her on Ocean Depths fabric by Sparklies. I don't have it, but I ordered a piece at the weekend and there just wasn't a piece big enough. But like I said, I'm in no rush to stitch her. I just thought that while I was there, I would get the fabric to, while I could see it in real life, to compare it to her lovely colours. We're getting there, I promise. Next up, there was a raffle. Everybody donated prizes. I donated some nice patterns to it. And there were a lot of prizes. Everyone was incredibly generous. And everybody was also incredibly generous in buying their tickets. We raised over £300 for Macmillan Cancer Society, which is fantastic. And everybody was also really generous in that, you know, people were winning a second prize and then they go, oh, somebody else at my table who hasn't won a prize yet can go up and take a prize. So it meant that everybody got at least one. I think almost everybody got 2 prizes. There were a ton of prizes. This raffle went on for ages, but it was the best raffle ever. Because you know when it's in a raffle, like we were joking that there were bottles of wine. They were the last things picked because there was so much cross-stitchy goodness that everyone was like, oh, I want this. And it was incredible. So, I'll show you a couple of things that I won. I won this piece of Zweigart 28 count, I think it's Belfast something white check. It's a giant piece of fabric. I admit I picked it up because I thought it was like an easy grid fabric. I was like, oh, that must be like a 20 by 20 grid. That's cool. It's a checked fabric. I don't know what will go in this. I'm sure I'll think of something that will look really good in it. I just didn't realize that was actually the pattern on the fabric when I picked it up. So if you have any suggestions for what would look good on something like that, do let me know. Another little pattern I won, Country Cottage Needleworks Farm Fresh. I just thought this was lovely. Nice little small piece for chickens and just fresh like veg and flowers and little stuff. It was very cute. And then there were a lot of mirror patterns on the table, and that was great. That was very exciting. I hadn't won it. I won a couple of prizes, as you can see, but I didn't get pulled until later on in the raffle. And a lady at my table, when she won for the second time, this was very early in the raffle, so I think she just won something, and she was like, "No, Emer, you can go up." I was like, "Oh, are you sure? Thank you very much." And I went up. And I was taking a look at the mirrors. I think Miss Christmas Eve was there, and that had been my original plan to go, oh, yeah, I love her. She's great. I'll take her. And then I saw this Maidens of the Seasons Part 2. Autumn and Winter. I was like, oh, I love those. And I was like 99% certain they were out of print. And I knew like this is the pattern that I've seen before that I've went, oh, I'd love to stitch those. And then I, would look them up on like eBay and see the prices that people were charging for them and go, no. So I got this and I was giddy. I was delighted. I was like, already grateful that somebody let me go ahead of them or giving me their ticket. and I'd gotten this really cool pattern. A few minutes later, one of my tickets is drawn. I go up. Maidens of the Seasons, part 1. I get a little cry. Both of these patterns, they're from 2003, so they're nearly 20 years old. And it's the idea that I have these and I can stitch them. My plan is to do them on one big piece of fabric. And have them in like a big frame in my living room or something, because they're just so beautiful. I'm gonna try like hold them up a little bit closer. I love like spring has the, you know, like, I think like snowdrops or something, and then summer has the oranges, so they're lovely. The only thing I might change is I might not, if you can even make out the tiny little white boxes at the bottom have the seasons names, and those boxes are 10 stitches high and the piece is 260 stitches high. I don't really think it's worth stitching those tiny little like 10 stitch high boxes. People won't be able to read. And then autumn, of course, has her like leaves, and winter has kind of like pines and white blossoms. It's beautiful. And I'm so happy to stitch them. I know in the Mirabilia UK group, I posted these, and there's a couple of ladies who were like, oh, I also have those. And somebody had the great idea that it's before kitting it all up, she might order herself the piece of fabric and stitch the borders for them all. So I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I could like grid and do the borders, which is just one color of floss for the outer box. So you might see this as a start a lot sooner than I anticipated. It was really exciting. So I'm going to end it there on that high note of Maidens of the Seasons part 1 and 2. I didn't find out who donated them, so if you did and you're watching, thank you so much. If you know who donated them, please let me know, because I need to thank them. Like that is just insane. Like both parts of these like out of print patterns, and they're just so beautiful and special, and they're gonna bring me a lot of joy as I stitch. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I feel like I've talked a lot. I've been very excited. Thanks again to the Essex Needle Retreat and everybody who attended. It was a really special weekend, and I was genuinely a little bit sad on Sunday night when I got home. I was like, oh, that's the retreat done, and you know. But I'll definitely be joining the join call. I'll be joining the Zoom call next time they have one, because I want to see everybody again, and I want to, you know, I want to see what people are stitching, and thanks for watching. Bye.